Hi, I'm here today with Chris Marinak, Senior Director of Labor Economics for Major League Baseball. Chris, thanks for coming in to speak with us today as part of the larger Wharton Sports Innovation Conference on which you'll be a panelist. So wanted to talk to you today. First, you are a former college baseball player, have an MBA from another institution, and just wanted to talk to you about a little about the process, a little bit about what you do, and ultimately how you got there.
Sure. Sounds good. So in terms of where I am today, I work in the Commissioner's office in our Labor Department, and mainly our Labor Department is responsible for negotiating our next contract with the Players Association. And so we're spending a lot of time preparing for that process and putting together proposals and information and research related to that process. Behind that, however, we do a lot of other things related to interacting with the Players Association, whether it's salary arbitration, whether it's contract analysis, whether it's providing advice to clubs on transactions and waivers and things like that. So it's a pretty robust set of responsibilities that we have both while during bargaining and then after we get a deal with the union.
And it's a heavy workload, and it's a fairly small department as well.
Yeah, it's a mix between a couple of analytical types, MBAs. We have what we call our economics team, which I kind of lead up, and it's me and then a couple other consulting, investment banking kind of types who we are more like analysts. And then we have a separate pool of more lawyer types who help us with, a lot of the legal work, contract drafting, and things like that. So.
Going back to the MBA and the skill sets, what sort of skill sets are you looking for and are valued in the numerous folks who are applying for positions with you?
The big thing for us is experience with analytics and working with data. As you know, baseball, we have tons and tons of statistics, and even more so than other sports with pitch FX data and all the information that's tracked on a daily basis. We need people who can manage that information, who can work with that information, and can produce output, whether it's for salary arbitration, whether it's to do analysis for revenue sharing or some type of economic proposal that we're putting together. We need people with expertise in looking at huge sets of data, culling it down into a format that makes sense for our executives to then go and make decisions upon.
It's certainly an area that seems like a robust area for innovation to occur within. Can you talk a little bit about some of the innovations that you've seen in the last few years since you started with them,
Yep.
And where you possibly see it going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, it probably goes back, as most people would mention, to Moneyball when really that whole wave of looking at baseball statistics and performance statistics really took off. And so there was kind of a first wave there, I would say in the early 2000s, of teams that really started looking at performance statistics. You hear about the walks and the on-base percentages, the big innovation at that point. But it's grown. I mean, we're now looking at defensive statistics. And even most recently, I would say probably looking at injuries is probably one of the more one of the areas where more and more people are looking into to try and quantify, because if you can figure out whether a pitcher has a higher risk of a shoulder or an elbow problem, it can really help you in terms of the way you treat the player, how often you put them on the field, and how you kind of manage your farm system. And so we've had a lot of research done on analyzing some of those things with our medical staff, and it's an area that's going to continue to grow. Absolutely.
And so. You mentioned one of the things that you focus on within your group is in preparing the owners and the various clubs for the salary arbitration process. Can you talk a little bit about your group's role in that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Commissioner's office, we help provide support to all the clubs. And the easiest way to explain it is we have probably 250 players a year who go through salary arbitration in one form or another. And a particular club may only have 2 or 3, right? So if you look at it over a 5-year window, someone in our office does over 1,000 salary arbitrations, and someone at a club does maybe 10. And so for them, it's just really nice to go to someone who's got extensive experience looking at all types of cases, because the cases are very different. A Tim Lincecum and a Ryan Howard are much different than a Corey Hart or a Cody Ross. And so being able to help our clubs go through that process, providing them advice and saying, hey, last year we did it this way, this might help you, or being able to come up with charts or analysis that help prove a point, can be very helpful to the clubs, and that's really the main role that we provide to them.
And I take it the Players Association has their own group who's doing, and agents who are doing the same exact thing.
Pretty much everything in baseball, there's a commissioner side and a union side, and we kind of match up against each other. But it's a healthy interaction because we're both providing support to the player or the club, and it just makes the process more formalized. It makes it more structured. and it just makes it more streamlined. And so that, I think at the end of the day, it helps the process
It
dramatically.
seems like a furious battle of the analysts.
It is. It's a battle for the biggest and best systems, the smartest analysts, the fastest computing programs, all those kind of things. But it's the same battles you see in other industries, and so I think it's very healthy.
So you're entering into your last year of the basic agreement, the collective bargaining agreement between the players and the clubs. And so if you could talk a little bit about your role in the bargaining context.
Absolutely. So our group is responsible for managing the entire process and putting together the proposals, and so even before this year, 2 years ago even, we've been doing a lot of research and analysis getting ready for the whole process. And so that's kind of where we are today. We've done a lot of research. We've done a lot of prep work. The union's been doing the same. And now it's time, where we have about 6 or 7 months to go until the deal expires, where we're going to start coming to the table and putting proposals on the table and figuring out where both parties are, figure out where a deal can be done, figure out where there's common ground, and hopefully avoid a situation like the NFL.
Yeah, and so to bring up the NFL, so given the nature of your sports, it's quite different, and every collective bargaining agreement is of course idiosyncratic. Does the impact? What is the potential impact of the NFL lockout, the ongoing negotiations in the NBA, which have been widely postulated to lead to a lockout there or some sort of work stoppage there? Is there any spillover effects into Major League Baseball?
People talk about it. I don't see it. I mean, I think they're separate negotiations. We have a separate relationship with our union that has a lot of history and a lot of background, and we've spent a lot of time to build a relationship with them. So I'm not sure that there's any impact. I think certainly if there's no NFL in September, that's a positive thing for baseball. I think your Sunday baseball games are going to see a lot more attendance and a lot more fans watching on TV. So I don't think that's can't be anything but a positive for us. But certainly, from a sports perspective, we want to see NFL playing, NBA playing, we want MLB playing, we want games being played.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for coming in. Enjoy your time here at the Wharton School.
Looking forward to it.
And look forward to hearing more from you going forward.
Okay, thanks a lot, Scott.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.